So you can see
So you
me?
can see what you're doing.
What?
Oh, I forgot the computer.
I was just gonna say, you're missing something.
Well, do you want to tell them what's going on this week?
I guess.
It's going to be a short one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a quick one. So it's the last week of pre-orders for Chestnut.
Yeah, Chestnut's over after this week.
Yes. So we're kind of doing like a bunch at once, right? It's who's in there?
It's the Maeve crossbody, the Phoebe, and I just said that already. Why am I? Oh, Charlotte.
And the Charlotte.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, the Charlotte. I'll just grab those real fast.
Real fast. Different angle today. It's like far away. Yeah, we've got a lot to do, so. Oh, hit a button. I'm gonna try to make this quick. What else we got going on? We got a new tool in the shop, which Leanne just used.
I did. It worked really well. I was really happy with it. Okay, so this week you can pre-order the Phoebe and Chestnut. Yeah, it's crossbody bag, but the strap is just at its shortest length right now. The Maeve crossbody, also same deal. Strap is at its shortest length right now.
Shortest length.
Shortest length. It's hard to say quickly. And then our Charlotte bag on each arm, and then our Charlotte sling bag. This is the bag that I use the most often. So you can pre-order these guys in Chestnut this week, and then Chestnut's gonna go away until I think we decided the very beginning of August.
Yeah, it'll be back August 1st. We have an idea that might include Chestnut for mid to end of July, but August 1st is when you should expect it back, I would think.
Right.
Because we're not really sure 100% on it. And like the Chestnut is, yeah, it's such a nice color. I don't know how to even describe it. It's
It
like
has a
it
lot
has
of
like
depth.
some really beautiful warmth to it. And it goes with a lot of things.
I'd say all the hides we've gotten of the Chestnut are just like gorgeous.
Yeah, consistently beautiful.
Very consistent.
Oh, there we go. Chestnut's beautiful in person. Gotta get a wallet next. Nice. Yeah, it's one of the ones that's hard to describe until you see it in person. Kind of like the burgundy to me. Like the burgundy has more depth to it than you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
What else are we doing? Making orders.
Video.
Oh, we have. So Leanne did a voiceover for this last video we just did. She's messing stuff up.
Sorry.
And she's in the video. She's making a mini Shelby redesign.
Oh, right.
In what color? Is it chestnut? It's probably chestnut.
Yes, I think it is.
But I think you did two colors at the same time. But
I did.
Primarily filmed the one.
I did navy and chestnut at the same time.
Hey, what's up, Daniel? So, Leanne just messed up.
It's fine. It happened live.
Put more pressure on her.
No, it's just sometimes the stuff just doesn't line up the way you think it's gonna.
I think the next longer format video we're gonna do will probably involve some hand stitching or maybe like a little tutorial because we're trying to get into doing that a little bit more, and it doesn't really look like we're gonna be able to host an in-person class like this summer, like we talked about a while back.
I was thinking about that actually the other day. It's funny that you brought that up.
The summer's kind of coming together in a hectic way, so I don't think that's gonna make sense for us.
Yeah.
We would love to do it. It's just not. It's not in the cards right now.
Yeah. So doing the voiceover was interesting. As if you guys have seen our YouTube videos in the past, it's always been Nick doing the voiceover, but I'm making the bag.
Which is unfortunate.
Which is unfortunate. Why?
Don't listen to me.
Well, I don't know if people are gonna want to listen to me either. We had a little bit of
We'll
like
find out.
some issues.
Oh yeah, we're having some software issues for some reason.
Yeah, if anyone has any insight onto it.
So you can have headphones on and hear yourself kind of play back as a monitor in Premiere Pro.
Like as you record.
But it was like coming back like scratchy and weird. But when it played back, it was completely normal. So it was accepting the information, but
Right.
in real time it was messing it up for some reason. And the only solution we found was to just mute the monitor, but the whole point, it helps to hear yourself if you've ever done like that kind of stuff. It just does, and
Yeah, it does.
it was weird.
So it kept making this, like, it would let me record the very first piece, and that would be fine, and then the second
Yeah,
one.
the first clip.
Yeah, the first clip. And then the second clip was like, grrr, it would just like scritchety scratch. So you know what I ended up doing? I put the headphones on so that I just had one headphone on my ear. And then that way, because when you go to record the next clip, you can hear a bit of the last clip. And so I put that on for that last bit of that clip, and then I take the headphone off and record so that I couldn't hear
That's what
myself.
you're doing?
Yeah.
I left her alone so she could just do it.
Yes.
Everyone finds their own method.
Well, no one wants to like do any voiceover in front of another human. I think
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
it's definitely weird, especially.
I
if
would
it's
wait
something
until you
don't
went
think
upstairs for bath time with Wes. And
I always wondered how you did it. I was like, why does he
When?
do that? Because I was like,
Sneaky.
I'm around all the time. I
You
don't know.
never leave.
It's true. I mean, alright, we fixed that.
It's like an old-fashioned live where you watch you work.
I know, right? It's strange.
It's weird.
Clips on
Nope.
here.
Could be your jack or cord since it's picking up from the mic.
We tried.
So we replaced the headphones
Yes.
because we thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And even when you take the headphones out, it did the same thing through the actual computer,
Yeah.
which is also weird.
So it's definitely not the headphones.
Yeah, so it wasn't the headphones. And I have a new XLM, can't remember, XLM cord from the mic. So it was odd. And it's weird that it would be fine for the first clip, but then the other ones it wouldn't be. So
Yeah.
I even thought, I was like, is it a computer memory issue? And like I checked it, and I don't think so.
Yeah.
So.
And then the
And
other
I've done it in the past and it's been fine. So
right. The other thing that happened was then we were like, all right, let's try again tomorrow because it just was being such a jerk. And so Nick, like, I guess re-imported the video and it imported everything in a very strange order and we didn't realize it. So I recorded a bunch of really great content and then I was like, this is such a weird video. I was like, why did he put these clips in this order? And I started to be like, am I crazy? So I texted Nick, I was like, can you come downstairs and just look at this video? Because I feel like these clips are very out of order. Like I'm doing.
They were. They skipped like 10. They like.
And they were. But it stinks
It's
because I made some really,
Yeah, it was wasted time.
it was wasted time and I felt like I did a really good job on some of them and then it was frustrating. And
But you
hard
did a
to
good
do
job
again.
because it wasn't in order.
Well, you know
a
what?
little bit. Because you jumped kind of back and forth.
I think the reason was because whatever I was saying could go into the next clip and it didn't feel like I was missing anything.
Oh.
So it's almost like if the clips are just like a little bit longer or there was another clip that was kind of the same thing for a little bit more time, it made it so that I could say things that weren't necessarily important to what I was doing, but more just kind of like extra commentary. Like I commented on the fact that I had paint all over my hands, and I just made a funny joke about it. Which
She really just wants you to hear her jokes.
Yeah, stand-up comedian over here.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I know I sorted by like, because I just do it in chronological order, and I know I sorted, but it didn't import that way.
It just decided to make up its own
But anyway.
little video there.
Strange. Sounds like a big on their end. Yeah, I kind of thought it was a software issue, so we kind of quit for the day and then did it tomorrow, the next day.
And you didn't find anything on like Reddit or anything, right?
Yeah, I didn't see any when I searched. I didn't see anyone having the same specific issue. It was more about I'm trying to think. What it was. I don't remember. Something else kept popping up, and it just definitely wasn't the same issue. It's kind of hard to describe. That the playback is totally fine.
Right, it's just when you're hearing it through the headphones.
Yeah.
That it's or through the computer.
Yeah.
That it's
And
like
it wasn't
crackly.
Because we've gotten feedback before, and it wasn't just a feedback loop.
No, it was like my voice was a robot.
Yeah.
Like a crackly robot. Yeah.
Anyway, that's not related at all.
No. But yeah, so we do have a video coming out on Friday, right?
2 p.m. I think.
Okay.
Eastern time.
Yeah, and you get to hear me attempt to do a voiceover this time, so that should be interesting.
I'm also doing an experiment with a pseudo wet mold for a key fob, just as like it's still a little bit damp, so I have to let it dry.
Oh yeah.
And I'll sew the edges and see. I put it in a
Sandwich bag.
sandwich bag.
Yeah, I looked
Keep it
over at
dry.
Nick and I was like, what the hell are you doing over there?
So it's always fun to do these little projects as well.
I like get into a place where I try to do that and it just never ends well.
They
for
just
me.
have to pop up. I can't force them.
No, those things never end well for me though.
No. Those little ones?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you learn anything from it though? No.
Well, sometimes.
Or you learn that you don't want to do that?
No, it's more that like I'm trying to squeeze them in while I'm doing other stuff, and so I feel very distracted.
Feel pressured.
Yeah, I just feel very distracted from what I'm doing.
I can see that.
And it's like I'm best when I can be really focused. Like right now. Just kidding. I'm fine.
Like right now. It feels weird to not have an additional chestnut to talk about next week.
Yeah, it does.
But it's been since like April, so.
Yeah. And really like our next, any sort of pre-order that would be coming up that I can imagine would be new designs, but that's not going to be till the fall.
Yeah, fall.
Yeah.
And we'll have the Maeve 16 and 24 come back for fall time. And yeah. I think that was kind of all we wanted to go over. So unless you guys have some questions.
Did you want to show them the new tool that we got or not yet?
Yeah, I guess we can. Whoa. So everything we do has a little bit of hand stitching. So I've got one of these cool gadgets.
Stitching pony.
Stitching pony. It's highly adjustable, which is great because Leanne's really short, and it doesn't always work when we use the same tools.
Or like some tools just don't work for me because I'm really short.
Yeah. But before, you've probably seen videos of her just doing like that part like on the table, and she found this much faster.
It was faster. It really was. And it was easier. Like, I mean, hence the faster.
Let's see. Hello, hey guys, fellow leather worker here, mostly small goods and backpacks. I'm fairly new to your channel. I'm curious for your bags. Do you guys use a single standard leather weight for all bags? So, great question.
That is a really great question.
Like, when we were first starting out, we were actually using a little bit thicker. I think we were using 5.5.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe 6, which was really thick. And that kind of does limit you to what you can produce.
Well, and you would end up with like a super heavy bag.
Unless you have a belt skiver where you can skive the edges down. Yeah, I know. I'm writing a list of like a wish list for like our garden, our workshop. Trust me, it's getting long.
I was gonna say, especially if you're making like backpacks, which it sounds like you are. Backpacks can get real heavy real fast.
Yes.
And so I for sure would want to have.
We use about 4.5. Yeah. Is what we found that works best for us. It gives us enough structure. The way we do our seams.
And we're using veg tan leather, so it kind of already has a bit more structure to begin with. So it's not chrome tan. And
then we also do use a milled vegetable tan leather, and those are both thinner because we sandwich them together.
Yeah, we line those bags for the most part, or we'll use it like as an interior piece. Like actually, here's a good example. So this is the interior of our larger Maeve bag. So you can probably see that that's milled. So like this piece will be milled, but the outside is regular bridle, so the smooth leather.
And then the straps are about 10 ounces or so. So 2 different weights. But we've tried, I think you could sew 2 of the 4.5s together to get a strap, but we like the other way.
It's like just a little bit.
We like the way we do it.
Yeah.
What else? If you're using thinner leather, you can get away with it but you have to probably create more seams. It depends on the design of the bag
Right.
to create the right amount of structure.
If you
'Cause
want
that's
it,
what you want.
right. If you don't mind it being more slouchy and soft and squishy, then obviously thinner leather is fine. That's what you're like going for.
Are you going right to the sewing machine with any of these?
Like right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could.
Just show people sewing around the Greta and just one of them.
Yeah.
For old time's sake.
But I will say, as I just gave Nick the eye over there, I really am hoping to get a bell skiver soon, because it will just make it so like
It gives us more flexibility.
Right. It'll open up the opportunities, I think, for some certain things.
I have it up on the computer. It's just kind of a matter of time.
No, that's fine. There's
like a marinating process.
I understand. It's completely fine.
Do you dye in house? No. So a long time ago, we dyed some leather, and
It was a big
while
mess.
it's great to have the ability to get the color you want, it's definitely an art form all by itself, and it's extremely messy. I would really want a separate room if we were going to do something like that.
Yeah, I totally
And
agree.
the volume that we use, it's just not practical.
We would definitely need a bigger space with a separate room.
We would have to have a whole room
And I
dedicated
just-
to it.
Yeah, and I just feel like too,
That's a great question too.
I felt like we had a little difficult. I mean, we really didn't spend a lot of time on it because we tried it and just was like, this is not going to be part of our process, and that's okay. Just getting the dye really consistent and not streaky was difficult. And honestly, I am just not the type of person that likes to work with messy stuff.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Generally, like even when I worked in textiles, there was a point in time where we were hand dyeing certain things, and I just did not enjoy it. And I think it's so cool that you can like hand dye stuff, and some people are really good at it. I think it's maybe that chemistry piece too that I didn't quite get from high school that made it difficult. But yeah, it's just not something that we do.
Yeah, we also get asked about tooling or like hand painting, and we kind of feel the similar way about those two things. They're great and beautiful in their own right, but it's not where our interest lies, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just not part of our aesthetic. We tend to like things to be very clean aesthetically and have clean lines and clean shape, all that kind of stuff. And so again, with like the dye getting streaky at all, just like it creates a completely different vibe of that bag.
What is on your workshop wish list? And if you could go back in time, would you have bought the bigger machines in the same order that you did?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So workshop wish list right now, it's a bell skiver and a glue machine.
Yeah, Nick's on the glue machine. I'm not on it yet, but
So like for example, this is going to save time.
What will see?
The stitching pony, and make it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
It's all about making things just a little bit easier.
My
and a
whole
little
thing
bit
with the
faster,
glue
if
machine is
possible.
I'm concerned again that it will be a messy thing. Because
No,
you'll
it's
have to
not.
like tape stuff off so you don't get it everywhere.
No.
Well, that's how it feels.
I'll let you watch a video on it. You can get very precise with it.
Okay.
And it's also, you can either purchase a table or buy
A box.
or make a box
Yeah, I think
that's not gonna be messy. It's not like it atomizes everywhere.
Okay.
It's like
Okay. And the other one I would add on to that list would be I can't think of what it's called. The sewing machine.
Post-bed machine.
Yeah, post-bed machine. But I think I'm definitely for bell skiver before post-bed. And I think post-bed's in our distant future.
So buying them in the same order, I definitely would have bought a clicker die
100%.
earlier.
Yeah.
We were doing volume on a shop press that had a plate welded to it. It was a mess.
It wasn't a mess. It was
It was
time
just
consuming.
difficult.
Yeah.
Like,
And it didn't allow for such big pieces to go, big dies to go in. It did,
well,
but you had to do
length,
them
but
in
not width.
pieces. You had to do it in sections. Yeah, that's the first thing I wish we had bought
If we were on
earlier.
like ground level, I would have gotten probably a pneumatic clicker.
But we're in the basement, so getting that downstairs is not really an option.
And setting up the electric for it.
True.
It is possible, just not ideal.
Yeah.
And this works good for us. If we were struggling with the cutting part, I would probably feel differently, but that's probably one of the faster bits. Or at least it's easy to do ahead of time, so that you can kind of get your schedule.
I have work constantly because he's got everything cut out already.
Early on, we were hand setting rivets for way too long.
That would for sure.
Over there, if you don't have one of those,
the rivet press we should have gotten earlier.
I think we got the second machine right on time.
I agree.
I don't feel like that was like. I have looked at other machines that are fancier, but
other sewing machines.
Yeah. But we're very happy with the tools we have.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, our beveler.
Oh.
Our hand bevelers. Yeah. We used to have craft tools ones, and my hand would literally hurt so much after doing it that I would be like so excited to burnish because I got to stick my finger in cold water to like put the water on the edge of the bag to burnish. And then we got Palo Santo edge beveler, and if you guys have used them, you know they're like a hot knife through butter. It's a joke how easy they are. So if we had gotten those earlier, for sure would have been better.
The very first thing
it's not that expensive.
we got tool-wise, well, I guess not the very first thing, but very early on was a big table, because like it's very hard to do leather work if you're working with full hides or half hides or sides, to use that on a small surface like a regular table. So that's
I think if there's anything else. Looking at the tools.
We try to grow like with what we're doing, so it's not like you don't want to be sitting on tools you don't use, even if they look cool.
They've grown with our skills as well as our productivity, basically.
Right.
So like hand cutting stuff out, at the beginning seems fine because you're not getting that many orders in. You're just starting off. You're just trying to make enough stuff to do a show or something like that. But then once you're like, no, we've got like 30, 40 orders lined up. We need to get these out fast. Cutting is like one of the most time consuming parts besides like maybe burnishing. And we got our burnisher pretty early on as well. Sander burnisher. That's the answers.
It's not a tool, but we also get our like strap weight leather cut into straps for us.
Yeah.
So that's one less thing we have to do here. Otherwise, we would purchase a strap cutter. Like
there have been moments where we thought about it for a minute, but.
Are you hand stitching your bags now? No. So I asked the question if there was interest in a hand stitch like section collection, and the majority of people said yes. So I find that interesting.
I do too. I think I'm not sure if everyone fully understands that those bags would be much more expensive because hand stitching is very time consuming. But it's something that we're considering.
Well, what we discussed was like a mini collection.
Right, not with everything.
No,
I
certainly couldn't be.
No. I would be sewing most bags on. Well, I'd be sewing all bags on machine. It would be like a mini collection, like Nick is saying. That's like all if you were looking for a hand stitched bag, like if you think of Hermes, all their bags are hand stitched, right?
They're not entirely, I don't think.
Okay, a lot
they have a strong hand stitch component to them.
Sure, exactly. Whereas like our hand stitching component is probably much smaller.
It's more of a detail thing.
Right. So that would be something that would level up our bags if that was something that made sense for people. It's hard for me to wrap around my head around that price point and people being willing to buy that quite right now.
Hugely messy and time consuming. Agreed. For clean lines, are you a fan of creasing irons? Working on a Ralph Lauren-esque backpack currently, and the irons add a good finish look to me.
That's interesting. I've seen a lot of people using creasing irons. I've never used one myself before, so I feel like I can't fully talk about that. But I agree. I think it creates a nice little detail of like around the edge.
I think you have to use it, like you could crease everything.
Right.
I feel like you probably
Use it
go crease happy
sparingly.
in the beginning,
Mm.
or at least I probably would. But having it be like thoughtfully applied would be good.
Mm-hmm.
You can
do-
also burnish with that, right?
I
It's
believe
basically
so.
burning. It's like the same deal.
I think so. We do crease our bags for like to get our clean edges, but I literally use a straight edge and a bone
Yeah.
folder. But it's not like necessarily around the exact stitch line sort of thing. It's more around to get like the shape of the bag.
Do you sell patterns? We have a couple
Yeah.
patterns on our site. We have a section called Make With Us that has, it's where we put up scrap when that's available, which we just had a batch that sold out very fast.
Why is this red?
But we have a couple patterns up there. We're always trying to get more up there. So if you have a preference for what you want to see up there, that's helpful for us too,
Yes.
to kind of motivate us to get more out.
Yeah. It's always the thing that I dread doing because it's very time consuming and like takes a lot of
The best
Great
tool you
power.
have is Leanne. It's true.
and I've been there the whole time.
She's hyper focused and I bet very productive. Yeah.
That's true.
After you apply edge paint, what do you use? What do we finish the edge with? So we just
Just edge paint.
edge paint. We don't apply like a top coat. The edge paint we have is matte,
Right.
and we like that.
Yeah. And it's also the type of edge paint so
Sure.
there are edge paints that require a top coat.
A primer,
Right.
coat, multiple coats, sanding,
Yeah.
top coat.
Ours does not. The one that we use does not. So we just do the edge paint. I will do like depending on the piece, like that I'm edge painting, not like the bag, but the piece of the bag that I'm edge painting. I'll do anywhere from 1 to 2 coats depending. So
And
yeah.
that's something we get asked about a lot too, our edge paint. So we work directly with the manufacturer to get it made custom,
Yeah.
color, viscosity, and that stuff. So
Yeah. That's our little trade secret that we
that's
keep.
the one.
That's the one. We have ones we can recommend that are
It
good
took me
as
like
well. though.
almost 2 years to
And speaking.
source this.
Yeah,
And speak, yeah.
yeah.
Is there a previous bag in your past that you would love to bring back?
Yeah, we have one actually that's in the lineup right now that we're hoping to bring back this fall as a redesign, and that's our Veda bag. We've discussed the Molly tote coming back at some point. It's not in the plans as of right now, but maybe. And then I always think about.
I feel like if the Molly came back, it would be very, very different. So it might not even be
the Molly anymore.
Just because of how simple that construction was.
Yeah,
Or I just don't know if we'd be happy with.
I agree
Yeah,
with you,
that's why.
and which is why I
Which is
think
why,
we've not
yeah.
done it.
Sure.
The other one I think about is the backpack that we did.
Oh, jeez.
You know what it is, honestly? I love seeing it in the collection because it's something different in the collection. I think it just, for me, it rounds the collection out to have a backpack.
I feel like I'd have to see sketches to feel.
Now, well, here's the
Okay.
caveat. So when we first released the backpack, it was meant to be like a small to mid-sized backpack, and then everyone was like, can it fit a laptop, can it fit a laptop, can it fit a laptop? The answer was no, and so then I made it bigger to fit a laptop, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous because it made it too heavy. And so I would be willing to bring a backpack back if it were maybe even smaller than the original one and was just like a mini backpack. As like, this is another way to wear a bag, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
can
did
see
like
that.
the
Like a one-arm
shape.
shoulder, like a.
No, it
No?
would be 2 straps, but just a tiny one, like a compact little backpack, meaning like we don't have a bag that you wear on your back, is all I'm saying.
That's true. Besides the Charlotte.
Right. But yeah, I think that would be, I feel like backpacks as purses come and go as far as like trend, and currently I don't see that as like a big trend. But if I start to forecast like, okay, this is coming up again, maybe that would be a time to bring it back and see if it had any legs.
See you in 5 years
Yeah.
or so.
People have talked to us about it a little bit.
I'm actually going to Tandy to look at cylinder industrial machines.
Oh,
I
interesting.
believe they have
They have a hand crank one.
they have the Titman hand
That's
crank.
it. That's what
but I think they also now have the Cobras.
Oh, do they?
So that's cool to see in
Oh,
person.
that's great.
I think they're badged with Tandy stuff, but
But they are Cobra.
But they are Cobra.
Yeah.
Creasing iron took a minute to get the handle on,
Yeah, I
but
can see that.
it works well for burnishing. Okay, and a bunch of other tasks.
Oh, interesting.
It can help with saddle stitching if you line. Oh, that's cool.
If
You do a line. for
Oh,
the
and
hand
then
stitch.
follow the line to get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Is boutique maker retail dead? So, I mean,
That's
That's
a
a
really
really-
good
really
question.
great question.
And it's actually something I've thought about a lot.
I think so. It's
Let's
thinning. It's gonna thin out.
It's definitely.
If you weren't profitable then, you won't be profitable now.
For sure. I see.
Especially with the cost of like debt increasing, like rates. So if you were taking on any kind of debt and then your rates increased,
Yeah.
Or you needed to reapply for that kind of stuff and your rates doubled essentially or more, you're not going to be able to purchase the inventory that you
Mhm.
want. It
Or if
also
you're
relies
franchising.
heavily on the curator of the shop.
Right.
Are they in tune with what's happening? And that's very hard. It's hard.
So to me, it is a thing that I always wanted to do and want to have for the future for us. Meaning like we would. I mean, I've talked about this a million times, but like have our studio, have a shop that carried our stuff plus other people's things.
Mhm.
I follow so many small boutiques, and I've watched so many of them sadly in the last like year or two go under, and it breaks my heart. And I think it's for all the same reasons. I think it's a couple things. I think
Well, that mirrors kind of what we're doing in a different way.
it does. I think
Small business wise.
I think when a lot of those started, they all kind of started around the same time. I would say like
10 years ago.
maybe even 15 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, yeah. And it was kind of like a boom of that happening, right? And it was kind of great because they all fed off of each other. And now I feel like, and online purchasing was like big back then, but not like
No.
the only way. Like
You
people
couldn't get
still
everything
fully-
online basically back then.
Yeah, and so now with everything being so online and people getting so used to purchasing everything online, I think that has kind of killed it. And then I think tariffs have screwed them too. So anyone trying to import anything from other countries into their shop,
Well,
there's so many reasons why.
As a reseller, it forces you to really, really, really consider what's in your shop. So if it isn't actually different and you can get it somewhere else,
Mhm.
people will just get it somewhere else.
Yeah, they will.
I think,
But that's not to say it couldn't be great, and I think there still are like a handful of those stores that are probably doing really well, maybe even a little, I don't want to say better, but maybe doing still
less impacted.
less impacted kind of by the fact that the other ones are leaving. But it is still something like I hope it comes back some way because I would love it for us in the future, but it's very frustrating and sad. Yeah, really good question. I also imagine too, like
Have the tariffs caused you any problems yet? Not. I mean, we've seen price increases, but
Yeah. It's not.
what is your zipper preference? I've been using Riri in the past, but just looking for opinion on others. We haven't used Riri.
We
Or we
use
might have gotten
YKK.
one, but those are very smooth. But we use YKK.
Yeah, we buy them in strips. We get two lengths. We get like a really long length and a shorter length, and I end up cutting all of those down a little bit. But basically, those two lengths get me to be able to do everything, and then I'll have to spend time putting zippers together.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I made my wife a small backpack sling bag hybrid. Could be a
Mhm.
good option if you don't want a true backpack.
Right.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
single, like, they look like single bags. I've seen, they're like a European style front backpack.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what you would do, but
Right.
thanks for your inspiration and insight. Have a blessed day. Very nice job from Argentina.
I'm really considering not opening another retail space with this
With the
move.
move.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so
That's
for you,
interesting.
it's going to highly depend on the cost of your space, because that's a huge huge
Yeah.
overhead for you. And I know
And
your last
also
space
the
was a good deal.
location. Yeah, you had a great deal on that other location. It's gonna depend highly on the location that you're at, because it's like, well, if you have the space for it and your location is good, meaning it gets a lot of foot traffic, why not have it open?
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, then yeah, it might not make sense.
It certainly doesn't make sense for you to have just a shop. You would have to be a workshop and a retail.
Right. Yeah. And I think so. The other piece of what I always
That could draw people in a different way.
right, and the piece that I always think about when I imagine us doing that is like either having it as like a showroom type space where it's only open like once a month, or you know, by appointment only, something limited.
But it's primarily the workshop.
Right, and then we could also have it open to do shows where we bring in other people to sell their stuff as well. And then I know we've talked about before doing like workshops where we teach leather work there as well. And so to me, that would all be bringing people into the shop in a way that I would hope would sell those goods. So I really think at this point you kind of have to be super crafty about how you get the people in the door. And again, it's so dependent on location. And I feel like if you are a person who lives in an area that has a small boutique like within your town, like you should feel really lucky and go support them as much as you possibly can, because it's just a disappearing thing, unfortunately.
I think the other option is to kind of create your space as like a third place, so a place where people come,
right?
Just to like not spend money and relax. I know that seems counterintuitive to what people want to do, but it gets people aware of what you're doing. And honestly, that could be as simple as putting a bench out in front of your store for people to sit down with a tree.
Or like having, coffee or water, or like a dog bowl.
Like Coffee Fridays. Or something
or like a
that.
dog bowl, like for the dogs to get water or whatever, if they go on a walk.
Yeah. And in my mind, like if we were doing something like that, it would be we would want to like integrate into the community and be a part of the community and like have it make sense that way.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing
Leather work. So we started this in 2017. I think we were doing like random bits and pieces since like
16.
earlier. I think it's like,
Oh yeah, I did.
2014, 2015.
Yeah, I did some for a little bit. Or
This
like
was a
super
surprise
early
career.
on. Yes. Surprise.
In that way.
Yeah.
But we went to school for illustration and art, so like we have what I'll call creative problem solving skills and a want to create.
Wow, that long?
Yeah. Time flies.
Sure does.
My grandpa used to say, don't get old.
I wish, man. I'm getting older every day, and I can feel it now.
You want to start this?
Yeah. You're right, answer that.
Stay right there.
Can you stay right here? Let's done this. Why am I so hungry?
It's because you're going to eat before it gets too hot.
Yeah, then I won't be hungry anymore.
Alright, let's see if we can make this work. I say that too. He also said don't work too hard, so, which is fine. Which really just meant, it's different when you're working for yourself.
Your grandpa said that?
Yeah. You've been talking that all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm just gonna start something, okay?
Yeah, I guess. Just finished I'm just gonna leave down here, guys.
Like a true basement troll that you are.
Just finished a mini backpack pattern in 2 sizes, all hand stitched. Happy to help with hand stitch line if that happens. Cool. Can be mobile. Can we do this? This is like a live reel, guys.
A live reel? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, this is how we do it. So you can see Leanne is kind of pitching the bag up.
As I go around the curve.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk.
So what that does is it keeps your stitch length equal, and it also
Gives more space between the cylinder arm and your bag, so that you don't get stuck and then your stitch gets pushed out to the edge.
You heard it first.
See, now I can hold it more horizontally.
Yeah, on the flat part. And there's Poodle sleeping.
Oh god, she's finally sleeping through it live.
This is so funny.
So funny.
I'm gonna
Better
fall over.
not do that. That would be funny.
So it looks hard. Yeah, I mean, lots of practice, right?
Yeah, on this, especially this bag, I've done
Yeah.
this like 50
This
times.
is one of the original bags.
Yeah, still a good seller.
Still a good seller.
And named after our last poodle.
Yeah. Penny just got a tassel.
Yeah.
Because she's she's just tasseling.
She is for sure dazzly.
Class 26, question mark? Yep.
Yes, it is.
And we have, so we got the one that she's on now with the electronic positioning system, and then I put the EPS onto the first machine we got.
Okay, now I'm gonna just really quick. So that was me sewing through 2 layers of leather, and so now I'm gonna be transitioning to 1 layer for just a second. And so to do that, so that my stitches don't pop, I tighten my bobbin screw a 1/4 turn, and it should make it so that that knot stays in the middle.
So a 1/4 turn is equal to 1 turn on the top, I think. It's like 1-to-4 ratio.
I find it easier to work with the bobbin and know the positioning of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Than to mess around with the top part, because I just can't tell where stuff is and was.
Yeah,
But
there's
like
there's
the
multiple ways to
screw-
do it.
Yeah, the screw helps me to know, like, oh, if it's horizontal, I know that was set for.
Especially for like multiple layers.
Yeah. So now I just turned it back to what it was, but then back to 2 layers.
That's basically it.
Oh, and the EPS, I feel like is something to talk about a little bit, because a lot of people might not know what that is. But it's the electronic positioning system where, so right now I took my foot off the pedal, so the needle is down, and so every time I sew and stop, the needle is down. But if I click,
You can set it up to do the opposite
you
if
can
you wish.
totally, yes, I do the
Needle up.
opposite. And then if I click the bottom of the pedal, now my needle is up. And sometimes, especially if I'm going through like a really thick part, I'll do this. I'll go down, up, up. And that will just like hold everything in place while that stitch happens without it like getting ahead of itself, kind of.
We were worried when we first got it that we would have a need to touch the hand wheel.
Yeah,
And
because
we
I was
really
so
don't,
used to it.
Because that's what we're used to doing. But especially when starting, but it hasn't been a problem at all.
No. I also feel like I didn't realize that you'd be able to touch the front end of the pedal and make it go up.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it weird I find this very soothing to hear the repeating sounds of the sewing machine? I don't think so.
it's like a white noise.
It kind of is. Or like the humming of something.
Yeah.
Air conditioning? I don't know.
Yeah, the only time I really touch the hand wheel is like when I'm getting maybe the very first stitch in and I need to just get it to line up, you know, in that very first spot.
I moved.
Maybe when you're getting it like you're going around something and you get back to the beginning again and you want it to land back into that first stitch hole, that would be a time that I would mess with it.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really great about this. It's so consistent that, say you mess up, you can take your stitches out and get right back into the same stitch holes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and doesn't mess it up.
Unrelated, but you know.
Yeah, so like now, just to make sure I'm getting right back into that hole, I'll use the wheel. So you can still use it if you want to.
True.
I highly recommend the EPS though, it's my fave. As you can also see, I didn't really back tack, I just kind of went over one stitch, and the reason is because I actually prefer to hand pull those threads through because it just ends up with a much cleaner look on the backside.
So, you saw first. Let's see. Have you had any edge binding attachments made? Been wondering about them. Okay, so that was a good question. So way back when, I had a Consew 206 RB5, I think, and I had a attachment made for that for binding, and it was really great. I'm trying to remember the company I used.
To make
it was like Tennessee. I feel like it was like Tennessee Sewing or something like that. It might have been, yeah, something like that. That's gonna bug me. But anyway, yes, we haven't set up one of these for that.
I feel like if we were gonna do that, we would get a third machine.
We would, yeah. So it's not something. You have to change the throat plate. You have to change.
Yeah.
You have to screw bits into the machine, and then usually you have, I think, a drop down situation.
So if you're making a bunch of stuff, it's not great to like be taking it on and off again a bunch of times. And I imagine you'd have to mess with tension too.
And your foot, you have a different foot.
Yeah. So
center foot.
You kind of want to set up a machine to just do that, unless like you have a way that you can kind of get everything
batching
done.
Yeah. Way. You could do it that way.
Right.
But it's a kind of a hassle to do and undo. And I was talking to Loyal Strickland, I think.
I was going to say, we talked to somebody about this. Yeah.
Because he
was very helpful.
He uses, I think, an Adler for that, and they have it set up. And I think it's just, that's all that machine does, which is smart. They're great. I think they're all custom made to the machine. So, and whatever material you're binding. So they're all custom. I believe they run in the 300, 400 range, if I remember correctly.
For the binder?
For the binding, the foot, like for the whole
setup. That's cool.
No wonder you have legs of steel and calf muscles. Just standing up.
Oh, well, I'm sewing?
Yeah. Tennessee attachment. I knew it was something like so
exactly
easy.
What it is.
So to remember it, I'd forget it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was Leanne making the Greta.
She's not done.
She's not done, as you can see.
She needs the ring and need to sand bevel burnish paint the
edge work and
the ring closure.
Ring closure. Put that.
Otherwise, that's pretty much it. And a strap, obviously.
That was fun. That was like a good and almost interactive.
You want to see the inside of the Maeve? It's kind of interesting.
There we go.
We can show this real quick and then we can be done if you want.
Yeah, we gotta get back to real work.
Second layer. I did it.
Binding machines really need to be set up specifically for that purpose. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
it's so annoying.
And you just don't want to mess it up. You just want to set it and forget it. I'm translating through a translator. I apologize for the mistakes. What kind of glue do you use?
Okay, so we use 3 different types of adhesive. The first one is Fabri-Tac. You can get this at like most craft stores, at least in the US. We used this solely for quite a long. Hold on. We used this solely for quite a long. For quite a long time. And now we've branched out to some other glues, and I really realized like how much having different adhesives is super helpful depending on like what you're doing exactly.
We use 4.
Oh yeah, we do use 4. Okay. Anyways, so this stuff is great, especially if you're just starting out. You can really use this for anything. The only thing you have to kind of be careful about is like I don't know how else to describe it other than to say like glue squish. Like meaning like you squish pieces together. Don't over-apply
the amount of glue because it goes past your seam and then you can see it on the inside or the outside.
But the thing I love about this is it has a little nozzle. You squeeze it out and it creates a line for you. You only have to put glue on one side, which is also makes things super fast.
And you can use it pretty thinly. Yeah.
You only want to use this on somewhere where you're going to sew. Yeah. So I wouldn't use this for any place that,
Double-sided tape. Yeah. There's a couple out there. I think there's a Ted's tape. This is Weaver tape.
I do have to say, I don't love Ted's tape. It's just...
It's harder to get the thing off.
It's difficult to get the backing off. It took me...
Which is good or bad, depending on how you look at it. It works, but it's just not the way you want.
But this is from Weaver. I think it's 1/8 thick. But this is my favorite one. The backing comes off really easily. It works really well. I like this stuff. I use this only like pretty sparingly. And then this is what I feel like we use the most, which is Eco
Yeah, at
Stick.
this point, we've graduated to
Yeah.
a water-based permanent adhesive called Eco Stick. This is the strongest variety they have. I think it's used primarily in shoemaking.
Yeah.
And just use a foam brush and glue pot, and you're good. And this can be used for quite a while.
Yeah, it talks about this actually on the video that we just made, but real quick. So most people, when they get one of these glue pots, it comes with a little brush. The brush sucks. You're gonna immediately want to throw that out. The only thing that's nice about it,
try it so you know it's terrible.
Yeah, it does.
Don't take our word
fit.
for it.
It does fit in here, so it can get closed in, which is kind of nice. I guess you could cut these off and make it fit, but it doesn't. It's fine. So then we tried, like everybody else does, those plastic and silicone spatulas, which now Nick is probably gonna see if he can find one. I didn't like them for a couple of reasons. One, when you spread, first of all, it takes a long time to get it spread evenly. Second, it squishes all the glue out.
We had like 3 different types.
Yeah, it squishes all the glue out to the edges, and then you get these lines of glue everywhere. And if you're working with any sort of thin leather, you can actually see that glue when you put 2 pieces together. You can see like a little lump from it, and it drove me nuts. So then we tried a simple, stupid sponge brush. And it's so much better. It's smart. It's great. It's a smart decision. It spreads faster. It doesn't create lines. Like Nick said, you can use this for quite a while actually, before you have to throw it out. And we just order them in bulk. And I use them for like a couple days, and then I throw it out and get another one. And like I'm making a lot of bags. So.
If there was a non-disposable version, we would be all for that.
100%.
But I don't think that's possible. And then we use barge for like one very specific application.
Right. I was just thinking,
which we don't really like to use it.
I bet you could wash it out
You
because it's
definitely could.
water soluble. Yeah,
But
I never thought about it. Then you have to let it dry.
yeah,
Maybe if you had like 3 going, you wash
There we
one,
go.
you let it dry, you got another one to use.
I learned edge binding from a hat maker. Okay,
so yeah, very specific application there.
Yeah.
He does it freehand on the machine.
Yeah.
Wawak Hyperstick
You need a
tape is good too.
special
Yeah, that's
machine
was
for
it
that too.
cross grain? That's the name. Cross grain.
Definitely not guasquane.
Cross grain.
I can't even say it now. You're gonna laugh.
But it's like you know.
Okay. Sewing through tape can gum up the needle too. Yes. Just something to think about if you're using solely tape.
I've never had that problem with the weaver's tape.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever seen gum up the needle was the
wax canvas.
Well,
when
yeah,
we were doing that.
when we were doing wax canvas, but the barge can gum it up if you've not let it like fully dry all the way.
That's true.
Or if it's like an old batch of barge, because it can go bad after a while.
Sponge brush is best for glue. See, Jamie knows. I wash mine all the time. Okay.
Oh, alright.
So it's worth trying.
I
You'd
think
have
we
it
should.
a little serious. Wash it
Rotating?
and rotate it.
Yeah. Let's see.
That would be better. I have a problem where
Let's
when
see
I
how-
use it, I like rip the top
You
off.
sure
'Cause I'm
do.
like, I guess I'm too aggressive
You
with my sponge
are.
brush.
I literally watch you do it from across the table. And I'm like, what is he doing? You like get the glue all the way to the top of it.
Because I don't like dipping it so much, so I like to get like a whole.
I get it to like
Got a
here
whole
maybe
system that
at
I
the
do.
most. And then the top comes off.
All right, we're done. This is too long.
This is
53 minutes.
I have so much shit to do. What are we
You
doing?
gotta go. Don't curse.
Oh, good grief.
We'll see you maybe next week, maybe not. We didn't expect this to be 53 minutes, but here
I
we
thought it
are.
was supposed to be a fast one.
This was supposed to be a fast one.
Because you put the camera over here. I think it's fun to have the camera over here once in a while.
I don't disagree. That's why we did it.
Maybe every other one we do it like this.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little bit boring. Like, the bags are great, but
Oh, of course.
the making is fun.
Yeah.
Here, come look at bags real quick.
That's
Go
making
home.
it longer now.
Whoa.
I'm so hungry. I'm gonna eat.
Here's some bags. Melboda, regular Boda, Phoebe, another Phoebe. All right, we'll see you guys maybe next week, maybe not. And feel free to drop us some questions or whatever you do.
Oh, and watch the video on YouTube on Friday at 2 o'clock
2 o'clock.
Eastern Standard Time.
Voiceover debut. I really like how the frame works on this. I changed the frame on this, so now they're more equal. It's great.
It's much better.
Bye.
Bye.